Alright, so I figured I might as well do a little video just talking about some of the other strategies that I didn't talk about as much in my one dialogic discourse diary, where I talked about rereading as one of the strategies from Beer's book that I would personally implement. So I'm going to talk about a couple of the other strategies here that I found very interesting that I think I could also see myself implementing. One of those is talking during reading or say the say something strategy. I think this is a really interesting one, and I think it's one that can be modeled and then eventually added to students' own uh, personal work and group work and such. So the the, the strategy has brings up the fact that a lot of students will read but not actually digest that what they're reading, or they'll move their eyes over the paper but not actually pick up what they're looking at and not actually look at the words and understand the meaning of the words. And as a result, this strategy talks about pausing and talking about what was read, um, saying something, clarifying, making a prediction, uh, clarifying something that wasn't understood before, saying something about the text that you have to stop and understand the meaning behind that what was just right, giving purpose to the reading, as it were, making it an activity rather than just something that needs to get done for the sake of being done, at least. Another strategy that I think I could definitely see myself looking at using, or even as I reflect on the teaching that I've done this semester, I think I've already done this to some extent. In the idea of thinking aloud, thinking aloud, getting the students to talk through their cognitive process and really talk about, like, well, what are you thinking as you're reading this? Because on one level, it gets the student to think about how they're thinking, but then it also shows me where I can help them and where I can connect dots that may not be connecting already. I noticed that I use this a lot. Was using this a lot with the Othello unit in my field, where students would be we read it out loud, we talked about it in class, but then as they're going back to answer questions about the text, they can't remember what happened in the text, whether because they weren't paying attention or they didn't understand the language. So what I would do is I would talk to the students and say, okay, well, here's what does the text say, and they can't even tell me that much. I'm like, okay, pull out the text, let's look at it. They look at the text. I have them read the section. Would have this read the section to me aloud. They read the section, and then I say, okay, what happened? And then they give me the blank look. I'm like, okay, well, let's break it down. What happened right before this? What happened right after this? And then they'll talk to me about that. They'll be okay. So, with that being said, how does this passage affect that? And then they'll talk about it. They'll say, oh, well, I guess this means this and this means that. And that basically I would talk them through what they should be thinking as they're reading, showing them the cognitive process of reading. That it's not just reading what's in the moment, not just running one's eyes over the page, but connecting what you're reading now to what you've read before and what you think or what you know is going to happen in the future of the text. And so I really see myself already in a sense using this. I guess I could do it in a more structured sort of way, a more definable sort of way. Um, some of the other strategies that I saw in this text was the use of bookmarks. And I was interested in this because the idea of using bookmarks for interesting passages or important passages that one might use for a writing assignment. Uh, I like this one because I personally do it, especially with library books than with my own books. I find because with my own books, I just write in the book. I don't bother to write on a bookmark. But with library books, a lot of times I will have pages and pages that I use as my bookmark, but also as my notes, where I'll refer back to things that I find interesting, that I find important, that I want to refer back to. Uh, that way I can look at this, I know what page it was on, I know what it was saying and why I found it important. And it also forces me to kind of stop and uh, think about what I'm reading rather than just going through reading it and forgetting it immediately. So this video is just a quick way to kind of bolster my discourse diary. So that's it for this one. Maybe I'll go back and revisit some of my other videos and add these to them as well.